All right, so here we are, gonna long arm quilt. We're gonna make some clouds and rainbows. So here we go. We're gonna make a bump, and then we're gonna bump, and then we're gonna bump again. Our goal here is to make clouds. Just they're kind of different than, well, actually I think the same as other clouds from other things, but we're free motion quilting this. So we're making an angle. We get to a certain spot and we need a rainbow. So now it's time to make a curve. We're not going to use any rulers. We're just free motion quilting. Then we'll backtrack a little bit and then make another curve. Go over just about 1/4 of an inch or your foot's space and then make another curve. And then we're making the curve smaller and smaller within itself. You're going to make one more curve, and then you're going to try your best to bump back and fill in that edge part so that the cloud touches the bottom of the rainbow. But it doesn't really have to touch the bottom of the rainbow, because as you can see right here, it's not touching the bottom of the rainbow perfectly. And that throughout the whole entire quilt, it does not touch the bottom of the rainbows perfectly, because it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not a computer, you're not a computer. So we're just going to keep bumping and then changing directions. Our clouds can go down, sideways. So you're bumping from one side to the other in a downward motion, or an upward motion, or a sideways motion, and then making a curve around. We're just having fun making clouds. All right, so we're just going to keep bumping, and now we're going to make ourselves another angle. So we're going to come in one way and then bump back the other way, and then bump back the other way, until we have like a curve going on where we can fit in our next rainbow. So here we go. We're going to make another rainbow. Again, it's just a curve, backtrack, then just a curve, backtrack. It's just like 1/4 of an inch to the side, and then around, and then 1/4 inch to the side, and then back around. It's not very difficult. And then we just fill it with clouds, and then you attempt to match up the end of your cloud with your rainbow end. But again, mine are not perfect, and yours probably won't be either unless you're taking your sweet time. I, on the other hand, this is my normal speed right here. This is actually my first time quilting this. I drew it on paper one time, and then just to see, and then I held the paper up and looked at the quilt and said, okay, this will work. And that's what I went with. So yeah, we're just gonna bump around and bump around over and over. That's all I'm doing. And as you can see, I have it, at my normal speed, so it's a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. I'm going the opposite way, trying to fill in areas so that it's not empty. We don't want no emptiness. Definitely don't want no emptiness. So I'm just filling in, making sure I have clouds everywhere. The top portion is probably the only, and the bottom is the only place I had to do any fill in. Everything else, you find a path and make your way around that path. So you can see here, I'm doing another rainbow. The gap between the arches is totally different. Again, I'm not a computer, I'm a human being, and it's not going to be perfect. But it was definitely fun quilting this. It didn't take me very long. I enjoyed it. So I'm just filling in the areas around, getting all this filled in with bumps because they're clouds. And you can see I start going to one side, and then I kind of come up, and then I go down the other way. So they're not perfect. I'm just bumping around, bumping around on this quilt. And I go from one direction to the other. Some of my bumps are bigger than others. And you can see, am I getting ready? I'm watching this video with you. I mean, this is totally different. I'm trying to get used to this where I'm watching it with. All right, so here we go. This rainbow is kind of curved to the side. So again, it's the same thing. You fill your rainbows in wherever you can, and you're filling in the area around them. So here I go trying to follow it, and I'm like, I don't want to go that way. I'm going to go this way instead. And again, it's not a science. It doesn't have to be perfect. I realized I didn't fill in right here and I'd had too much space. So I came right there to that stitching, and then I just follow that out and create more cloud, because why not? It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I lost some footage, by the way, so you can see that the quilt has been a little bit advanced. Actually lost some footage. Anyway, the cool part about this is you don't have to fully advance. You advance as far as your bumps go, and if you can't go all the way down with your bumps or your rainbows, then you don't have to advance as far, because you need to fill in that bottom, space. And maybe you only get 3 rainbows on the next pass, or 4 rainbows, or however big your quilt is to add them. And then the next pass would be more clouds. You know what I mean? It's actually quite easy, and I found this to go super fast. This whole quilt's a 60 by 76, and it shrunk to 59.5 by 75, because it shrinks when you quilt on the long arm. And it took me about an hour and 15 minutes in total. So yeah, it's really easy to do, and I'm pretty sure you can do this too. It's just bumping around. On a domestic machine, I'm not 100% sure how this would work. I think you would just bump around and put in rainbows. Or you can build the rainbows first, strategically place your rainbows wherever you want on the quilt, and make those rainbows, and then make some solid clouds, circular clouds underneath the rainbow on each side, and then go in and fill the bumps throughout the whole entire quilt around all those rainbows. That might work if you're doing it on a domestic machine. It actually kind of seems very plausible. Yes, I could have done that here too. I probably could have done a whole row where I wanted my rainbows, and then just did a bunch of rainbows, and you can do them with a ruler even, and put the rainbows in, and then put, your bump clouds underneath, where you have 2 big puffs under each rainbow end, and then go back and fill in the space. Honestly, I mean, that's some thread breaks, but it probably would have worked that way too. But since I'm on a long arm and I'm working from side to side, and I didn't want to break thread, I just wanted to continuously stitch. That's what I'm doing here, is just continuously stitching. And it's okay. See how it has that tip of the point right there? It's okay to have those back the opposite way with a tip, because it kind of blends all the clouds together when you do that, which makes it look really cool. So here I'm just filling in sections. Sometimes the quilting is close, sometimes it's far away, but it actually works out perfect. So here we're going to add a rainbow again. And again, you can see that rainbow is kind of not perfectly arched, but again, not a computer here. Let's see, what am I doing? Okay, I'm going back up, and then I'm creating like a, like a sunset under the rainbow kind of look, where the cloud comes down a little bit and then comes back up and hits the other tip of the rainbow. Super easy to do, very easy. So just remember, all it is bumps, mainly bumps, and even your rainbows technically are large bumps, and then you just echo back the opposite direction and opposite direction. And I tried my hardest to keep those about 1/4 inch apart, but you know what? It is what it is, and it was my first time doing it, and I chose to do it on this. My husband, Scott, he kept saying, why don't you try on a practice piece first? I was like, nah, I got this. So I did what I did, and you'll see when we get to the end of this video, it turned out amazing. I like it. I think it looks great on this quilt. I mean, the quilt is named Always Chasing Rainbows, so that was the name of the pattern, and I decided to just keep the name of the pattern the name of the quilt. So it worked out perfect. All right, so here I am creating more bumps, and you can see sometimes the bumps are bigger and sometimes they're smaller, and they just go in different directions and under and around. And you can see now I'm filling in underneath that cloud, and you can see right there it doesn't even touch underneath that cloud. Yeah, and you know what? I don't care. And you shouldn't care either. As long as it's close to it, nobody's ever gonna know. Nobody's gonna, the person that you gift these quilts to or you sell your quilts, they're not gonna care because it looks cool overall once you see the whole thing in full. So here I am just filling in the space, making sure that I have stitching, you know, everywhere. Here I advanced a little bit and we're still going. And eventually we are going to speed this up. So I'm going to get off here right now and we're going to move on to speeding it up just 3 times faster than my normal stitching. It's not going to be super crazy, but that way we can complete this video a little bit faster because it's the same thing over and over again. So I will see you at the end of this video. It's coming soon. here it is, all finished. It looks amazing. It's done. It's great. I love it. Let's take a closer look. We're gonna walk up to it and just enjoy the finished product because it's fully finished. I took the time to bind it before showing it to you guys. So it's completely done. And yes, I put white binding. I really don't like using white binding, but we tried out, me and Scott both just, we were in the fabric room for a good 2 hours trying to pick a batik and or some kind of fabric that would look good, and nothing looked good on this because of all the color. So we decided to just go with the white. And you know what? It looks amazing with white binding. So worked out perfect. I'm going to disappear for a second so that you can take a look at this. All right, here is the back of the quilt. It's just giant flowers. My camera is not picking up the brightness of this. I don't know why, but when you come close, you can see that that's yellow. It's a really bright yellow in that design, but the camera didn't really pick it up. Anyways, from the back side, you can't tell anything. It's so busy, you really can't see it. I mean, if you're up close, you can see the rainbows and the bumping of the clouds, but that's about it. So enjoy this for a second. All right, that was the tag and it is done. So in a second, you're gonna see the full quilt, just, you know, a finished picture of it. And I hope you enjoyed and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Don't forget to give this a try. It's super fun. Bye, everybody.